I want to talk to you guys about the Indiana Fever season and how should we evaluate it? Let's just say they ended up barely making the playoffs. They get destroyed by the Lynx in the first round. Or let's just say they play the Aces because right now they're currently sixth and they hold off the Valkyries and the Sparks and everyone else chasing them in the Seattle Storm. Clark gets back. They have a good showing against the Aces. And let's just say they upset them in the first round. They get to the second round. How should we evaluate that situation? Because I think what's going to happen after the season's over, the GM of the Fever is going to look at this situation and go, okay, we had injuries to our best player, Kevin Clark, did get hurt. Sophie Cunningham got hurt. McDonald got hurt after we picked her up. And we also found a gem in Chloe Bibby, who seems to be a knockdown shooter for them. And then we also brought in Odyssey Sims to help with scoring. Colson got knocked out for the season. So they're going to look at it and go, we didn't get a chance to build enough chemistry and reps with the core pieces we brought in. We tried Dewana Bonner, but she decided to leave in the middle of the season. Some things you can say is out of their control. I would argue, let's just say they missed the playoffs or they barely squeak in and play the Lynx in the first round and get knocked out. I would say it's a disappointment in the sense of this team should have been better because there were moments in the regular season where Clark did play. They had fourth quarter leads and blew them. And I would say 60% to 65% of that is on the coach and 35 to 40% is on the players. Because again, when you have a lead, you can't be blowing those games. So I'm going to go to the first one. I brought this up before, but I want to bring up the Golden State Valkyries game. It was back in June 19th. This is where I noticed some bad habits they were building. They're up at this point. They have a lead in the fourth quarter and they lose it. You got to outscore 33-18. That's not acceptable at all. If you want to be a winning basketball team, you can't play like this. And then we go to the Vegas game, again, right after they lost. Oops, let me click back out. And let's see here. Vegas, 89-81. They had a lead in the fourth quarter as well. I know it's, let's see, they were up by 6, then up by 3, but 31-20. You get outscored. And Clark played in this game. So they had games where it's like you had fourth quarter leads and they lost them. This year, the Fever, when you look at fourth quarter numbers, they're ranked 7th. Last year, the fourth quarter numbers, they were 3rd. So they've taken a step down when you are supposed to show up when it matters most. When you're building these habits, even in wins, like when they beat the Storm, go to that next game, they got outscored 20-19 in the fourth quarter. Yes, they won the game, but they held on. Not the best thing you want to do. And then you keep going you go to the Los Angeles Sparks game, you get outscored 35-17 at home, by the way. At home. That's inexcusable. I understand that Clark didn't play in this game, but you still had a lead. You got to hold them off. And you got to find a way to win that game. So as you can see, there were some bad habits they were building, and they just had a hard time getting separation. They hovered around 500. They started to go on a run, but then they go to Los Angeles. I know Clark wasn't playing. They get wiped out the flag, made a late comeback, but couldn't pull it off. You go to Phoenix, get destroyed, beat Chicago, but then you have a bad loss against Dallas. These things matter because let's just say they get like 2 or 3 of these wins, and Clark's in out of the lineup. You're sitting at what, like 23, maybe 24-15 right now. Like 24-14. Like if you had 4 extra wins, like if you had held on against, let's say they beat Golden State, they lost the Aces, they beat the Sparks, and then they were able to get this win as well at home. That was a hard loss, and you beat the Wings. Now it's like, okay, you're sitting pretty. It's not bad. I know they lost these games against Liberty, but Clark didn't play. You're going to have those moments. But now you're like, 25, maybe, 24-14. And you're probably sitting pretty comfortable at the 5th to 6th seed. You're battling out the Liberty and the Mercury right now for the 4th seed. That's what I'm saying. Like, they had opportunities where they could have moved up in the conference, managed Clark's injury, and survived even more. And that is on the coach as well, because if there's habits where your fourth quarter performance is not up to standard, again, the teams that are ahead of them right now, the Sparks are actually number 1, which is pretty impressive. The Liberty are 2nd. The Mystics are 3rd. That's impressive. Mercury, Dream, and Lynx, right? So the top team is right above them. And then you have the Dream, Mercury, obviously Liberty, and Sparks. So 4 of those teams are in the playoffs. I'm just saying if they had just handled their business and won a few of these games in the fourth quarter, they wouldn't be in this situation. Mind you, they blew some big leads. Like they got wiped off the floor in the fourth quarter. And as a winning basketball team, if you're trying to hold yourself to a different standard, that is not going to pan out very well for you. You have to be better in the fourth quarter. And I think that's been one of their biggest problems this year is they haven't done well in that situation. Situational basketball is so important. Like it reminds me like when I would watch my Celtics, they would choke up a storm. My God, they would have leads and just blow them. Like the team they played, it was the Miami Heat when they made the NBA Finals run. People forget like Game 7, they should have lost that game. Like if Jimmy Butler makes that three, you might be having a different conversation about them. They barely held on. Even the Game 6 against the Heat, where they forced a Game 7, it took a buzzer beater tip in shot by Derek White, but they choked that game away. They had moments where they were supposed to win them and they choked them. It's just the fact that the Boston Celtics expected. They did overcome that. But what I'm saying is like, if you don't handle your business and you're not showing up when it matters most, those habits start to creep in even more. And now they find themselves at 2018. I understand that Cunningham got hurt. It was a very unfortunate situation. I understand that Colson got hurt, McDonald got hurt, and Clark's been in and out of the lineup. But we know at some point Cunningham was healthy, and she was part of these games they blew. And we know that McDonald was healthy, and she was part of those games as well, and Colson as well. So again, like they have depth. I think also it comes down to Stephanie White. Like I don't think she's been the best coach, but what I think is going to happen is the GM of the Fever is going to look at the situation and go, you know what? Let's run it back. Let's add, a couple of pieces. Here's what I would do if I'm the Fever and I'm trying to improve my roster. My main focus this offseason is to improve the athleticism at the big man position. I love Aaliyah Boston. She's great. But I think there's too much redundancy with her and Dantas. Natasha Howe's been fine. I think they need more versatility as a backup big. I think Dantas has to go. And they need to bring somebody who's more versatile. Maybe, give Michaela Tipson a bigger role. She's also younger as well. Or Breonna Turner a bigger role. And just stop playing Dantas. I know she's great offensively, but I think you got to move off that situation. And you need just some different options out there we can throw at your opponents. Because you run a team like the Sparks, they have athletes on that team that can move, that can run the floor. And Dantas, like, she can get you buckets, but guarding the space is a nightmare. So that's a thing I'd like to see improve on this roster. Just some more versatility around the wing and big man position. I know you have Cunningham. I know you have Lexi Hall, but I would like to see some more wings at these positions and another big man. If you have more versatility, like you have like those Ben and a bio prototypes in the WNBA, obviously not the height, but you get what I'm saying. Someone who can guard 1 through 5 or at least hold their own and be more versatile. That just opens up your defense more, gives you more flexibility. So I like to see the Fever work on that. And I know DeWanna Bonner was supposed to help out in that role, but it just wasn't, the right fit. It was chemistry stuff, and she decided to leave. It is what it is. You try things. And the thing is this, like every season is so dynamic and so different. And, if they end up in the playoffs and they make a surprise run to the second round, we'll say, you know what, they overcame a lot. They had to deal with injuries. Clark came back, closed the season out strong, beat the Aces. That would be an incredible story. If they get knocked out in the first round against the Aces, or let's just say they make the 8th seed and get swept by the Lynx, it's going to feel like this team could have been better. And that's understandable because you brought in pieces that was supposed to take this team to the next level. Just didn't happen. The reality is sometimes you have a competitive roster and you think like, okay, we can make a deep playoff run. But then when you get to the regular season, it's just not a great fit. And then you're looking at the coach going, okay, why can't she make adjustments? That's understandable. But also look at the players. It just hasn't been, the right fit. They've had injuries, of course. And sometimes it's just a rough season. You're going to get those even with your favorite player. That's going to happen. But if I'm the GM of the Fever, I'm not going to be comfortable. I'm looking at, making some shakeups this offseason. I really would do that. I think you got to move up Dantas. I think what the Fever need is more versatility on this roster. Another wing and another big man at the power forward center position who has more versatility with guarding and space on defense. Dantas just has slow feet. No knock on her. I think she'll fit better somewhere else, but there's a lot of redundancy with her in Boston. Boston's great. She's 6'5", but, they need somebody who can move in space. So we shall see how it all plays out. And if they end up losing to the Lynx, that would be, a letdown. If they don't even make the playoffs, that's a letdown as well, in my opinion, because they should have been better. And then you have to look at Stephanie White. I don't think they will this offseason, unfortunately, but I think they will after next season if things aren't better. If they're still having these fourth quarter problems, like if you see that same habit show up, then you got to look at the coach and just move on and keep trying to make it better. Like that's the thing about making roster improvements. You have to make adjustments. Sometimes you think you have what it takes and you're like, okay, maybe we're one piece away. And we shall see how it all plays out. Again, Caitlin Clarkson year 2. It's all good. She's come back for another season. She'll get better. Aaliyah Boston will get better. And Kelsey Mitchell's still around. So this team still has a lot of potential. And Sophie Cunningham, you got to keep her. She is a dog. And I like the roster. I just think might be just a rough season. Just guys say, oh, okay, let's go back to the drawing board. Let's reset. Let's get this team back on track. Hope you guys enjoyed this video today. I'd love to hear your thoughts about how you view this season for the Fever. Do you view it as a disappointment? Do you think that, the injuries were a huge factor this year and caused this team to never take off? Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.